Employees improved all areas of their personal finances last year. That's according to a study by Financial Finesse in El Segundo, California. But many appear to be concerned that they haven't saved enough to retire. My guest is Chief Financial Research Analyst at Financial Finesse, Greg Ward, who's joining us. Greg, welcome.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for taking the time today. There's other research that points that retirement in general is, well, woefully underfunded. But the good news here, it looks like from your study, is that people are sort of out of crisis mode, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. Over the last year and a half or 2 years, with the Great Recession kind of coming and going, people had to start focusing on short-term concerns. The debt was getting unbearable. The savings rates were pitiful. And so for about the last couple of years, we've gone through that sort of phase. But now what we're starting to see is people are getting out of that. They're starting to get their debt under control. They're starting to get their cash management under control, which is good news for longer-term planning.
Tell us a little bit about Financial Finesse and how this study developed.
Certainly. The company started back in 1999. And it focuses on providing strictly financial education. We say that we're an unbiased provider simply because we actually don't sell any product or service to the individual. What we do is we offer financial education, and you probably would think of us like you would think of teachers. We would go out there and teach people about finances, and so that's what we do as an organization. And we have a number of ways that we provide that service. We do it through workshops, and we do it online. We have online tools and resources. But a lot of the information that we're getting is from our toll-free number. Employees from Fortune 500 companies and members of credit unions can call us through our toll-free number and ask us financial questions on any financial topic and any financial issue. In addition to that, I mentioned the online resources, so we're also gathering information from people who are simply logging in and looking for financial information online.
And the results of the study were based on calls to the helpline, right?
The calls to the helpline and the online usage provided the data that we compile in our research.
So it seems, I guess, essentially that employees, as a good indication of the overall population, are kind of on the right path, but a lot more has to be done with regards to savings, because it looks like from the study, debt is dropping down. I mean, the people are getting a better handle on their finances, but I guess my question would be, is this lack of retirement funding, is this something that's new, or is this always going on?
Well, it's, as you know, people are very fickle, and with the economy going through what it's gone through, people are always looking at what's happening right now, and they're failing to think about things longer term. So it's good news that we're starting to see the phone calls and the online usage is suggesting that people are starting to recognize the need to plan for longer-term issues. That can be generated from a couple reasons: uncertainty about what's happening in the job market, uncertainty in real estate. A lot more onus is being thrust onto the employees with respect to taking care of health care costs and other issues. So there's a lot of things that are pushing employees and consumers to think longer term, but how long is that going to last? And it's not going to take much for our focus to be distracted. And so that's why we think there's an issue and a concern out here. We're glad to see that people are starting to wake up and realize, oh my gosh, I need to start doing things today for my future. But as you notice from the research, only 17% of our respondents have actually indicated that they're on track to reach their retirement goals. Now, it's good that we've got an increase in savings. I think I saw recently that just slightly over 5% is the current savings rate, and that's fantastic. But that's still not nearly where it needs to be if we're talking about an underfunding of our retirement goals.
Yeah, other studies I think show boomers typically, on average, probably can't retire until age 73. So is it simply a matter of pushing more into your 401k if you can, getting more individual help? Talk to the consumer and the advisors who are watching right now. What are a couple of key things that people need to be doing?
Well, I think you mentioned a few of them already. They need to be looking at opportunities to set money aside for retirement or any long-term financial goal. For retirement, using your company-sponsored retirement plan, your 401ks, your 403bs. If you, in addition to those, you can be looking at individual retirement accounts. I'm always reminding people that I talk to, in addition to your tax-deferred accounts, don't forget the Roth IRA, making sure that you have some tax-free money available for you to use in retirement. Paying down your debt. We often remind callers and people we talk to in our workshops that your home can be one of your sources of income in retirement, especially if you have plans to downsize or relocate. So reminding them that paying down their debts, putting more money aside in retirement type of accounts, these are the behaviors that are going to help them to achieve those goals. But here's a behavior that I think is very important that I want everybody to be thinking about. You need to run some projections. You can't just accept that, okay, someday I'm going to be 65 years old and I'm going to retire. You have to start running some calculators. We ask in one of our questions how much people are actually using their calculators in the projections, and the number isn't as high as it needs to be. People need to get online. They need to talk to financial advisors, and they actually need to start doing some projections because, as you probably know, Scott, when you look at a number that says you need to have $2 million for retirement, and right now you're only on track to have maybe 800,000, that's going to wake you up.
Well, and many typical, basic retirement plans depend on doubling your assets in the last 10 years, which the way the equity markets have been going, for example, that's kind of hard to pin all your hopes on.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate your time. Once again, my guest is Chief Financial Research Analyst Greg Ward with Financial Finesse. They are based in El Segundo, California. Greg, a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time.
Well, thank you, Scott.
I'm Scott Drake, and you're watching Annuity News Now.